One of our main players that will come in later, which is going to be Antlers Holst, who is a weirdo cinematographer. But Antlers Holst is a hell of a character. He has that crazed look in his eye of like he's a little unhinged. We see him pop pills. And then this is where Antlers goes rogue, he snaps, goes a little mental. Angel says, "Hey, where are you going?" And then Antlers says, "It's going to be all right, Angel. We don't deserve the impossible." And then Angel radios into the homies and says, Antlers just said some creepy cryptic shit and is going up the mountain by himself and he's bringing the camera with him.
Sort of sounded like Four Leaf from Tropic Thunder.
Dude, I thought that too.
That's where you take your pansy-ass actors.
A little bit of Quint from Jaws.
And those black eyes roll over white and then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming.
He says a lot of weird shit.
It's gonna be all right, Angel. We don't deserve the impossible.
I don't know what's going on. He popped pills. He's on drugs. I think he's literally insane.
I felt like Willy Wonka in the tunnel. There's a way, there's a growing. There's a precipice of rowing. The danger must be growing.
And they're certainly not showing any sign that they are slowing.
Well, I came down to Earth. And I hid in a tree. I said, "Mr. Purple People Eater, don't eat me." Well, he looked at me and in a voice so gruff, he said, "I wouldn't eat you, 'cause you're too tough." He was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Sure looks strange to me.
What's poppin', goblins? It is your favorite movie review podcast. We are so back because we are going week to week in October. It's spooky season. We're watching scary movies. I am Captain Ghost. I am a lucky SOB, and I'm just here not wearing a jean jacket because I'm wearing a Halloween costume. Just kidding. I'm actually wearing a Halloween-themed shirt. Look at this. I gotta stand up.
Look at you.
Check that out.
Trick or treat. And if you're not seeing this, that's because you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel where we do all of our podcasts in video format. Go and watch all the hard work James does. Just Play It podcast on YouTube. Go and do it, would you?
Literally, if you're not subscribed, you are unable to see things. So definitely check us out. I'm James. I'm one of your hosts. I am with my gracious, ghoulish best friend, trick-or-treater, faux life. He is known as the candy corn dog, the spooky dookie. He is Nick on a stick, corn dog, candy corn, Mr. Happy Halloween Justice reporting for duty. Welcome in, buddy.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Thanks for the intro. Those are all my names. I go by all of them.
Yep.
But only those names during this month. Like you said, James, week for week, not for the week, because it's spooky season. We're doing some horrors. We're doing some spooky films, just some good old-fashioned Halloween staples here. And this week, I feel like we have one that might become a Halloween staple for me, because this is a first watch.
Sweet. This is also a first watch for me. We got into our second movie from 2022 on the podcast, and that's going to be Jordan Peele's Nope. So, Nick, you've never seen this movie?
Nope.
But did you like it?
Yep.
Hey, shout out E40, E Fonzarelli, E Freaky Deaky, because it is spooky, scary season. Yes, Nick, this was a little bit of a creepy movie, but I'll be honest, not 100% scary horror, which I thought was an interesting surprise. And I can't wait to talk about it. We're kind of getting our feelers out. We're letting the audience know how we felt about this. Was it a yup or was it a nope? And we got to hit everybody with our pre-pop scores. The pre-trick-or-treat score, maybe? Before you even go out trick-or-treating, you got to just see how the night's going to go. Are you going to have a full bag, an empty bag, half bag? Or are you going to get hit with apples or literal just tricks?
Toothbrushes or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this score is the trick. You got to stay to the end to get the treat for our final score here.
That's right.
Let me see your pre-pop score for Nope on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. James, you said Nope, and you got some fun illustrations on there. Again, subscribe to the YouTube. And you gave it an 8.5. Great score. And James, give me 3 words off the top of the dome you would use to describe this movie.
Different, evolving, cinematic.
Love it.
Nick, I want to see what you're thinking for pre-pops. Counting you down from 3. Show me that pre-pop score. 3, 2, 1. Nick, nope. You're giving it an 8? Yep. And Nick, hit me with your 3 words, please.
My 3 words are simply, yep, yep, yep.
Haha. I was trying to think of like I was going to say nope, nope, yep. But I was like, I don't have 4 words. But yep, yep, yep is a little cheeky, funny answer from you. I went descriptive because this movie really was unlike anything I've ever seen before. I thought it was very, very cool, very Jordan Peele-y. Nick, we were talking before the recording. You said this is your first Jordan Peele movie that you have seen. And after I've seen this movie, this is actually now rounding out all of the Jordan Peele movies for me because I have seen all of them. But Nick, just a little teaser of how you're feeling post pre-pop points. How was the Jordan Peele experience?
Jordan Peele experience was great. It reminded me, and I'm probably not the first person to ever come up with this. It's probably a really cliche answer at this point, like early M. Night Shyamalan in a way where you could tell, especially doing a little bit of research on this movie, where he has his very own flavor. And I've heard this about movies I haven't seen, Get Out, Us, where he's very distinct in his storytelling, where if you watched it, you'd say, that's a Jordan Peele movie. And so I could definitely, all it takes is one film of his to really tell his flavor, his style, his likes and dislikes, how he wants the audience to feel. So I would just say it's a very distinct style and right up my alley, obviously with my pre-pop score of an 8.
Yeah, we got some high scores here right off the bat. I will say this, just having seen Get Out and Us and now Nope, this is definitely the most different one of those that he's directed. And he's only directed, quote unquote, horror movies. And I would say Get Out is a lot. It's definitely like a huge social commentary. The commentary about race in that movie is obviously a huge tool. And it kind of borders on psychological thriller and horror. And I think Us is a little bit more straightforward horror. And then this movie on the surface sells itself as a horror movie, but it kind of unfolds into something of its own, which I'm excited to talk about. So let's get into it, Nick. Our movie here is written and directed by Jordan Peele. His third feature that he has gone ahead and directed. I'm assuming it's got to be the biggest budget he's gotten to play with. Nick, I do want to shout out our cinematographer here. We got Hoyt van Hoytma. Hoyt van Hoytma. This guy has got quite the resume because he has worked on Oppenheimer, in which he won an Oscar for. I think, was that one of our categories when we... Yeah, so that was him. He also did Tenet, Ad Astra, Dunkirk, James Bond, Spectre, Interstellar, Her, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Fighter, and Let the Right One In. This guy's got a hell of a resume.
Insane resume.
I do have a little note about some of the cinematography in this movie. They were very innovative. I think I may have subconsciously noticed it in this movie, but it was not an issue at all like it is in other movies, and that is that goddamn day for night phenomenon. I think my only gripe with Mad Max Fury Road was, gosh, the day for night shots are very obvious. And if you need a reminder of that, that's when a movie crew goes out in the middle of broad daylight, shoots a scene, and then in post-production, they colorize it or they underexpose it while they shoot it to make it seem like it's nighttime. But there's obviously a glaring hard sun source on some bald guy's shiny, sweaty head. And it's very obvious that you just painted the screen blue. But they did something very cool here, and I just to kind of nerd out on some filmmaking stuff. Hoyt van Hoytma reinvents the wheel for some day for night shots in this movie. And getting this info from an article from No Film School by Alyssa Miller. In order to accomplish this, instead of coloring it in post or underexposing it while they shot it, they actually got 2 cameras to shoot simultaneously, kind of like a 3D movie would do. They got 2 decommissioned 3D stereo camera rigs in order to mount 2 different cameras onto the same rig. One was an ARRI Alexa, specifically customized to capture infrared. And then the other one was actually not digital like the Alexa, but it was a film camera. Van Hoytma found a way to align the cameras so that they were both shooting the exact same image so that every frame would overlay perfectly later in post-production. So the infrared digital cameras are sensitive to very specific wavelengths of light. The images they produce are monochromatic. When shooting in natural sunlight with infrared cameras, the images are brightly lit, but the skies are dark, while the 35mm film camera can pick up the color and texture as needed for the image. However, it's vitally important that the camera gates and lenses are the same. You have exactly the same depths of field. Your focus pulls are identical, so the 2 images are completely in sync, and then they would combine these 2 images in post. I thought that was cool. That's like, how do we address this issue, or how do we make things a little bit more realistic? Because they shot this out in some familiar territory. Speaking of spooky season, last year's October, we watched the movie Duel, which was shot out near where my uncle used to live in Acton, California. This movie literally takes place in Agua Dulce, California, kind of 14, 15, 30 miles south of Palmdale, 35, 40-ish miles north of Los Angeles. So that when they would go on scouts during night, they would notice, oh, there's not a lot of light out here. Like we're in the wilderness. We're in the Southern California desert wilderness. There is no light. It is pitch black. So we're going to have to do day for night. And they made this a very nuanced, very detail-oriented way to shoot these scenes, because there's a lot of scenes at night. And I got to say,
there's a lot of them.
Big W, Hoyt van Hoytma. Because you know what shooting crews hate? All week night shoots, saying we're starting our day at 9 p.m. and we're not stopping till 6 a.m. And we're doing that for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for weeks on end.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you said, a lot of night shots, which makes this even more impressive. And they have some really big wide shots. They have close-up shots. I mean, variety of shots as well. Different landscapes, different settings, just you name it. They have it at night. Very cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like when cinematographers, directors, writers, editors go the extra mile. They say, hey, let's try something that's never been done before. It might be a lot of work, but it's going to pay off. Nick, behind the camera was Hoyt van Hoytma, but in front of the camera, we got some star-studded people. We have Daniel Kaluuya, Kiki Palmer, Stephen Yeun, Brandon Perea, and Michael Wincott.
Great cast. Daniel Kaluuya, Kiki Palmer. You've been living under a rock if you don't know these two.
Yeah.
Very hot actors over the last 5 years. They've been in so much. I know Daniel Kaluuya has been in a lot of Jordan Peele films as well.
He was a lead in Get Out, and on that very small budget of $4.5 million or whatever it was, and it blew up in the theaters and got $100 million. Defied the odds there, and then also defied the odds of, we're going to get this kind of, I don't want to say no-name actor, but nobody really knew who Daniel Kaluuya was before Get Out, and then that happens, and then now he's getting jobs everywhere. He was in Black Panther, he was in a bunch of stuff. So that was great. Kiki Palmer, I think, is from Disney fame. Actually, she was on a show I worked on in LA, Scream Queen Season 2.
Oh,
have you heard of it?
Friend of James.
A friend of me. And then Stephen Yeun. We love Stephen Yeun. I was a big Walking Dead fan. Glenn, my goat.
I'm a big Invincible guy. Yeah, big Invincible guy. So
this guy's hot. It was great. And then Brandon Perea just showed up in Twisters. And Michael Wincott has been doing the damn thing for years now. So I loved it. Nick, our dollar signs, that's a little bit of a buff from Get Out's $4.5 million. What are we working with here?
We're working with about $68 million on this budget. Sounds like they needed it for all of those shots and all of the ambitious things they were doing. But it all paid off, James, because worldwide box office estimated 172 million worldwide.
This was a pandemic movie. They made this during the pandemic, and it was kind of when are we safe to go to the theaters? So good on them for making that amount of money post-pandemic scare.
So, James, something you usually do here is you like to do a little why this movie is made, a little bit of background on it. This week, I'm taking the reins on that. Spooky season, We're switching it up. Freaky Friday, little role reversal here.
You just tricked the audience? And now this is a treat for me?
Get ready for it, pal. So like you were saying, pandemic time, Peele, he wanted to make a summer blockbuster. He constantly used the word spectacle to describe this movie. That word's actually used in the movie quite a few times. And it's all about his relationship with the idea of that spectacle and his concept of the importance of creating something that would be considered a blockbuster. He quoted in an article from Time, he said, "I wrote it in a time when we were a little bit worried about the future of cinema. And so the first thing I knew is I wanted to create a spectacle, a great American UFO story." It's like you were saying, coming out of the pandemic, and he goes, I want to make something big. I want to bring people back. Peele was really venturing out into that big budget realm and challenging himself to do in something more than that interesting indie style film. So in an interview with Uproxx, he says, whereas my other movies, specifically Get Out, started with this notion of, what if I write a script that no one would ever let me make? And how can I make a movie that's impossible? Well, with the fortune of success, I've had greater tools I can work with. So it's very important to me to continue to push and continue to start from that same starting point of, what can I do that's impossible? What is the movie I'm not supposed to make, that I can't make, that I don't know how to make? And that was the starting point. But having those tools and trying to understand what it meant to be inviting people to a spectacle, there's that word again, that was different than my previous films. It changed the process itself. So you can kind of see him sort of building up to this through his career. So he's taking all of his previous experiences and saying, let's just really go for it. And while this movie does have deeper meaning we can get into, in that same Uproxx interview, he says, there's also a way to watch this movie where you say, look, I've been working all day, all week. I want to shut off and see some wild stuff. Peele has over the years been a little deeper with what he was trying to do with this film. And here he's saying, I'm just trying to make a damn fun movie. Obviously, there's motifs and themes and everything in there. But really at the heart of it, he's trying to make something that Hollywood had maybe been missing for a little bit. He talked about a lot of people making these love letters to Hollywood, and audiences were like, what is this? I want to see big. I want to see big things. I want to see fun things. Now, over the years, he has definitely gotten a little deeper, with his explanation. So in a panel discussion, he said, and this is what's really cool, and I think you talked about this, and we're going to talk about this later. He says, what if I could convince an audience that they were watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but then at some point they realize they have been watching Jaws?
Yep, I wrote that down.
That's the Jordan Peele style I'm talking about, right? That, like, hey, you're not even watching what you think you're watching. It's a little M. Night Shyamalan-y, twisty, but...
Yes, but it doesn't hype itself up like it's a big twist. It kind of just like reveals itself, and we're like, oh, okay, this is different. And then kind of does that a couple times in the movie where he leads you one way, and you're like, oh, like when we hit a point and we think there's like little aliens in a barn, and we're like, oh, they're revealing the aliens right away. No, it's kids in costumes. And we're like, oh, okay, like we're not getting it yet. So he kind of teases us with that, teases us with this UFO phenomenon. And then as the movie unravels, not only does what we're our expectations change, but also like the tone changes. The genre is constantly changing. Honestly, they just let him cook, which is great, because I will never not love Jordan Peele, because I remember seeing him on Mad TV back in the day and with Keegan Michael Key. And I thought, oh, these guys are great. I love these two guys. These guys are funny. And then they get their own show on Comedy Central, Key and Peele. And that was like a cultural hit, because gets referenced so often in the football scene, it's the college names sketch. Hingle McCringleberry, Xmas Jackson, Flaxen Waxen, Torque, Construction Noise Lewis.
Anybody who's named Aaron Anyone who's named Aaron, you done messed up, Aaron. Like that is, I'm sure those people hate that show because they probably haven't stopped hearing it since then.
One Aaron I know sincerely goes by that, and I think it's because of that sketch. But yeah, no, I've always been a fan of his comedy, and I've said it before on one of these podcasts. It might have been during Scream. Comedy and horror kind of go hand in hand. It's very easy to be friends with comedy and horror. We just saw that last week with The Lost Boys. A lot of comedic elements, but a lot of scary, freaky imagery in there as well. It can weave together real well. They do it in this movie. But yes, Nick, I love that you brought that up because I thought, that's exactly how I felt when watching this movie. Because at a certain point, I thought, this kind of feels like Jaws. And then when he says that, it kind of validates my weird experience I'm having watching it in real time. I thought, this is like, they're just showing the UFO. Like it's just out there now. Oh, it's not a UFO. Oh, it's we're like trying to trap it, or we're trying to do something.
It's now a thriller, right? It's now this adventure action thriller. You're like, wait, when did I jump into this? I was just in suspense for the last hour and a half. That's why I'm here.
There's a couple movies, that I can think of. I don't want to spoil them and I won't name them, but they'll sell themselves as a certain way. And then you'll watch it and say, this is kind of experimental. This is a little bit different. They present themselves in a different way. And then they reveal themselves in a completely different way. So it's on the surface, it's horror, it's thriller, it's sci-fi. And then it kind of weaves in comedy, it weaves in Western, it weaves in almost just like an uplifting adventure film almost at certain points. So it's like, it's not scary. Like we're kind of we're embracing this heroic finale during this movie. So I thought it was super interesting. So I can totally see how that would piss some people off. Be like, why'd you sell me an alien movie or a UFO movie? It's not that. Why? That wasn't scary. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be scary. Maybe it was supposed to draw you in with the horror genre, but then kind of reveal itself, just like the UFO mid-movie reveals itself as something different. And then your experience with the movie, watching it, totally changes. I thought that was cool.
I did too. I saw a lot of stuff online, which was basically just, this isn't Signs. It's like, it's not Signs. It's a completely different movie. What are you talking about? But audiences got upset because they're like, well, I thought this was going to be the next Signs. It's like, why would you just go into a movie with that notion? Why wouldn't you just go in and let the director entertain you?
Why would you want a new version of a movie that already exists? Enjoy something new.
So, James, ultimately, what I will say, I'll wrap up with is I really think this is just a creative guy who went out and wanted to push his skills to the limit and entertain audiences. On the red carpet for the Note premiere, he did talk to Variety, and the quote that I loved was him just saying, come watch it however you want. And that's what I love about a director, not him thinking, this is the message you have to get out of it. This isn't Crash. This isn't something like you need to get a message. He goes, if you get a message, cool. If you find this motif in there that you can apply to your life, awesome. If you I think he said, if you want to smoke a blunt and just sit there and get zonked out and just watch an alien movie, do that too, man. Like just come enjoy the movie. And very refreshing to hear someone in Hollywood say that. Like, I'm not trying to scold you or teach you a lesson. I'm trying to give you a movie. Do it, watch it however you want to watch it.
It kind of reminds me of when Christopher Nolan was talking about Memento. He's like, I know what actually happened. And then his brother's like, how dare you think whatever you think is the truth? Because it's all up to the interpretation of the viewer. So I love that quote of saying, hey, watch it how you want it. Take it how you want to take it. I think that's a good, healthy way to look at movies and not be all hoity-toity with any messages or whatever. Just be creative. Have some parallel storylines, have some themes, have some parallel imagery, have some great cinematography, have some innovative filmmaking. Because I say it all the time, filmmaking is a team sport. If you have a great head coach and you have a great supporting cast and teammates and assistant coaches, like, go to town, man. Go undefeated. I love that. What would you say if we just hop into this plot talk, read this log line, and get spooky dookie and hopefully don't get abducted?
I would say...
or eaten.
Yep.
Log line is, the residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling phenomenon. That's pretty vague. but I'm in, baby. Let's get into that chilling phenomenon in Spooky Plot Talk.
So, James, we start out this movie. We get a bit of a voiceover as we're fading in and starting off this film. It sounds like almost an old-timey
sitcom,
live TV studio audience sort of thing. And we're graced with this set, but the set looks a little off.
Just a little bit.
It's empty, a bunch of trash on the ground. It looks chaotic. There is dead bodies.
Injured bodies.
And
so
we have...
I'll pin that, but keep going.
And we have a bloody chimpanzee.
Yeah, real freaky image to start off this movie. And I thought, what? I thought this was going to be about aliens. What the hell is this monkey doing?
Monkeys just killed a lot of people.
Okay, well, unpinning it now. I was looking it up, and I researched. I was like, did the monkey actually kill anybody? I mean, it seems like he did, but a lot of people are like, oh, like it wasn't actually confirmed, and like we see one of the survivors later. But I'm willing to bet that chimpanzee killed some people.
Don't we have a scene later on where he's like beating the lady?
Oh yeah. No, he's going ape shit, pun intended. This is going to be something that's going to come up later in the form of a verbal backstory as well as a visual flashback in the middle of the movie. But essentially, those voiceovers we heard in the beginning was the sitcom right before all hell broke loose, and this actor chimpanzee went ape and attacked all of its co-stars and left the set in a bloody mess. Audiences scatter. There's blood everywhere. And we're like, what the hell was that? And then we get into a title sequence where I thought when I was watching, I was like, it looks like we're inside of a camera. It looks like we're inside of like a long, like whatever the tunnel, the iris, the shutter, whatever that is. I was like, it seems like we're in like some sort of projector or camera. And then we kind of zoom in on a horse in motion. And this is something that's going to come up in the movie. This is considered one of the first moving pictures ever created. And I remember learning about Eadweard Muybridge in film school and how he is kind of credited as the inventor of motion pictures because he was trying to photograph a horse in motion, and then he played the sequential stills in order, and then we got a moving running horse. So actually a little interesting backstory on this. Eadweard Muybridge in 1872, the former governor of California, Leland Stanford, a businessman and racehorse owner, hired Muybridge for a portfolio depicting his mansion and other possessions, including his racehorse Occident. So he experimented with faster mechanical shutters, began developing state-of-the-art electronically triggered mechanisms, and then in June 1878, Muybridge created a sequential series of photographs with a battery of 12 cameras along the racetrack at Stanford's Palo Alto Stock Farm, now known as Stanford University. So this guy's horse that he was taking photos of is Leland Stanford, and he's one of the founders of Stanford University. The shutters were automatically triggered when the racehorse triggered tripwires connected to an electromagnetic circuit, and it would just take a picture here, down the stretch here, down the stretch here, down the stretch here. And then so he did that, and he created the first moving picture. And I think the images we see in this movie are from a later similar experiment, and it's got a black jockey riding the horse, and then this is going to play into the legacy of some of our main characters. This is very film schooly, right off the rip. So I'm getting subconsciously camera visuals, and then I see the horse in motion, which I am personally familiar with because I got my bachelor's of arts in film at San Francisco State University, and I'm thinking, okay, so now I'm thinking filmy for this movie, and that's going to play into one of the main motifs of this movie, which is cameras, it is fame, it is eyes, it is vision. So I thought, okay, that's in the back of my mind. And they kind of tie in fictionally how they're related to this famous, groundbreaking filmmaking feat in the movie.
Yeah, we have that. We have references to Buck and the Preacher, which is I think the first Western starring a black person.
Black Cowboy.
Black
Yeah,
Cowboy.
Jordan Peele said, he said it's the earliest movie he could recall that acknowledged a black cowboy.
And so we're seeing, like you said, we're seeing Jordan Peele kind of in his filmmaking bag right now. Like, I'm a student of film. I'm not just some comedian. I'm not just some guy who had a sketch comedy show who's trying to dip his toes into this blockbuster world. Like, I do know what I'm doing. We were talking earlier where he wanted to test his skill. He's sort of showing off to the audience a little bit. And so I love all those references throughout. But James, we're going to be introduced to our main character here. This is OJ. This is Daniel Kaluuya. And he's going to be with his dad, who is referred to as Pops throughout the movie, on their ranch. They have a horse ranch where they tame horses for Hollywood. So if you need a horse as an actor, if you need a horse in a commercial or a photo shoot, you come to these guys, their ranch. I think it was called Hollywood Horses.
Haywood Hollywood Horses.
Haywood Hollywood Horses, yes. But James, Pops, this is a friend of the show.
Big time friend of the show. We got Keith David. As soon as I heard his voice before they focused on his face, I knew exactly who it was.
It's one of those voices.
We first saw Keith David, I believe, in Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones in year 1. And then later on that year, we saw him in The Thing. And then he was the best part of our Oscar movie of the year we watched this year in the movie Crash. He's been in literally, I checked it today, literally 400 projects.
Wow.
This man has been a part of. And I thought, is that the most that a friend of the show has been in? But then I remembered James Hong, who played David Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China, hasn't beat by about 65 projects because he does a lot of voice acting, video games,
amount.
Cartoon shows, and just live action.
Clancy Brown has to be pretty high up there, no?
Clancy Brown, I think, is like high 200s.
Oh wow! So we're on a whole different level with Keith.
I'm gonna confirm that right now. Clancy Brown. Oh, 350. Okay, excuse me. He is at 351 for actor. So he must have did like 70 the last time we spoke or something.
I could see it. The man's everywhere.
Yeah, we love these kind of guys. We love just working actors who are great. Yeah, Pops is going to be the dad of OJ Haywood. But, a bunch of stuff starts falling from the sky, Nick. And we think, what is it, someone ripping some bullets from an airplane? What's happening? Something gets lodged into Pops' head, take him to the hospital, get this real freaky, horrific imagery of him kind of laying dead on the hospital bed with like an eye bloody, and there's like blood squirting out of his head while they're driving to the hospital. It's like, oh God, this is so bad. As it was a nickel that killed him. A nickel fell from the sky, went straight into his brain. OJ keeps this nickel in the biohazard bag pinned to his wall. Thought that was a little psychotic, but I guess whatever will help you sleep at night.
We'll get into OJ. He has some weird tendencies. He seems very mild-mannered, and he is very mild-mannered in his decisions. And then throughout the film, you start to see him sort of change a little bit into being a little ambitious, almost in a dangerous way. But we also see a car key fall from the sky and impale one of the horses on their back legs. So we're saying there's a bunch of common stuff you have in your pockets, like what a person would have in their pockets falling from the sky. Us knowing what Nope is about a little bit, we go, okay, somehow connected, but I'm not quite sure yet how. And we're going to fast forward a bit.
We go 6 months into the future. I do want to bring up this commercial shoot scene real quick because we do meet one of our main players that will come in later, which is going to be Antlers Holst, who is a weirdo cinematographer. This is where we also meet Keke Palmer's character of Emerald. So basically, OJ and Emerald have inherited the horse ranch. OJ has taken his dad's role of being an animal trainer for movies, TV shows, commercials, and Emerald is a little bit of the presenter for the duo. She's not necessarily invested in this kind of business. She has her own main hustles, and she says this horse business is my side hustle. But during this commercial scene, this is where we get a little bit of foreshadowing of things that are going to play out later in the third act, and a lot of things being woven into the movie and dropping clues, which we are always big fans of. But Nick, I do want to bring up something. This friend of the show alert is not for Keith David. I have a note on our shared doc for friend of the show alert. Nick, Alex Hyde White. I didn't think I'd be saying this guy's name 3-4 times this year, but yes, our Reed Richards Mr. Fantastic from the 1994 Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four is the guy that tells OJ it's just not working out.
Your dad left an enormous hole, I know that, but don't worry, there'll be others. All right, I'm sorry.
What?
I didn't recognize him.
Are you serious?
Our 1994 Mr. Fantastic was in this scene. I didn't know if he was the director or like animal or the safety. He's part of the crew for this commercial, and I only found it after the fact. I didn't even catch it on the credits. I found it on IMDb after the fact. But yeah, Alex Hyde White, who was Mr. Fantastic in the 1994 Fantastic Four, and also in Fantastic Four First Steps, he's on a come up in 2025 for Just Play It. This is crazy.
Good for him, man. I personally would not recognize anyone from that movie because the quality I watched it in was so bad.
I didn't recognize him because A, he's older. Also, B, I was distracted because there was a little bit of a comedic bit happening in the background because OJ's horse reacts to a mirror and kind of kicks something over, and then they dismiss him from the set. And they're wheeling in a green screen horse behind Alex Hyde White, and I thought I was distracted by that little funny background bit, and I didn't even recognize our boy Mr. Fantastic.
Well, he was fantastic in this for the 10 seconds that we saw him.
Shout out Grizz. That was his character name.
He even got a character name. He wasn't even an extra. He was a character name. Good for Grizz.
He was Grizz.
So yeah, things are tough. He's just not his dad. He doesn't know how to be his dad. Like you said, his sister's the one who comes in, but she seems to be a little more irresponsible. She's not plugged into the business. And this is where I was talking about OJ with the nickel on the wall. He is very invested in being successful. He mentions his dad multiple times about, he changed the industry. He did things. He was a big deal. He holds his dad in very, very, very high regard. And you could tell there's a big part of him that wants to also be held in high regard, and he just doesn't know how to. And that's going to drive him forward throughout the film. But like I said, things are tough. And so we're going to be selling some horses to Ricky Park, known as Jupe. Jupiter. This is Stephen Yun. And he was the kid on set during the massacre of the sitcom in the opening shot. The sitcom was called Gordy. And Gordy was the name of the chimp.
I think it was like Gordy's Home or Gordy's House or something.
I think it was just the Gordy Show.
I think it was Gordy House.
Could be Gordy House.
Gordy's Home. It's not like Gordy's like possessive house. It's like Gordy's Home, like one of those.
Gotcha. So yeah, we're going to find out he was on that show. And we're going, okay, we're connecting a dot from an opening scene. We didn't know how it's connected. So we have one connection point here. But he's now part of this amusement park, this Wild West, Old Western amusement park.
So we know that spectacle is a big theme, and we're going to learn, you can't tame wild animals is also a big theme. But I saw exploitation as a huge theme in this. So Ricky Jupe Park, Stephen Yun, he's kind of exploiting his childhood trauma and going off that fame because he's kind of just a child star that isn't that popular these days. He just owns this weird Western theme park and is kind of like trying to make money off his brand for a movie he did after that show called Kid Sheriff. He's kind of living in the past and trying to just like chase that paper by not necessarily unpacking and in a healthy manner digesting his childhood trauma. It's more like, how do I make money off this? And I want to say this Western set, I've never been to Knott's Berry Farm, but it seems like it's kind of like one of those, like just a random small theme park that has little photo booth attractions and little mascots and stuff like that. What's that face for?
Knott's Berry Farm has massive roller coasters, though.
Well, no, I know that, but I think that was the dream of his. Like, let's start out with something because he wants to expand. He wants to buy the ranch, the Haywood Zone. I have to say, like, the Western set is very cool. So when I saw this, I fell in love with the production design. So I'm just going to shout out the production designer, Ruth DeJong, who also did Oppenheimer. This Western theme park town thing was really cool. And the Haywood home house was literally built for the movie. So shout out to the production design. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
We're with Jupe. We're trying to sell horses. And then he gives us the little history lesson of the Gordy incident. We see little kind of Easter eggs and stuff that was foreshadowed in that opening scene. There was this weird shoe that was standing on its heel perfectly straight up and down. And then we see that framed on the wall in the same exact orientation.
Blood spot on it, I think.
So we're like, what's all this imagery you're trying to do?
Now we're going to get introduced to a little, I don't know, what would you call this? Story device. We have these chapters throughout the movie. So this is we're going to enter our chapter called Ghost. Ghost is one of our horses, and we're going to notice most of our chapters are named after an animal. If not all. All of our chapters are named after an animal.
With all these chapters, people have pointed out online that it starts out with an animal's name, and then by the end of the chapter, that animal dies.
And as soon as we get back to the ranch, I was wondering, James, I was talking to you before the pod, I was one of those audience members who immediately thought Signs, right? That's how big Signs was when it comes to UFO movies and this kind of slow suspense that gets built up. And famously, I was not a big fan of Signs because it was such a slow burn. And these long, famously, everyone's talking about it.
As internet everybody in the nation knows.
Internet is ablaze. Well, I'm just saying, it's out there. It's out there. I am on camera saying this, but it's not. We're going to get into this pretty quick. So we're back at the ranch, the Haywood Ranch, and strange things are going to start happening. And Ghost is going to run off. Power's going to go out. And OJ is going to be out in the field chasing after Ghost the horse. And he's going to start seeing some freaky things. Emerald is starting to hear some freaky things. Again, power goes out, comes back on. This is our first encounter with whatever the heck we're dealing with. Aliens, demons, spirit, whatever we think it is. What's the reaction to our people? Well, James, just like Jupe, you were saying, chasing that fame and trying to make $1 off of it, they're saying we need to get proof of this UFO and sell it and make some money off of it, right? This is our chance to take what Jordan Peele says, a spectacle, and capitalize on it. And we are now going to become obsessed with this spectacle. I said Emerald got the money signs in her eyes, and they're talking about, quote unquote, the Oprah shot. What's the shot that's going to get shown on Oprah? That's going to be worldwide. That's going to be everyone's going to see, and they're going to know we took that picture.
Make you famous.
So, James, something you brought up, that little prank, this little suspense builder that's going to be a quick little gotcha, is Jupe's kids. He has his kids on this. He's trying to buy the Haywood Ranch, and he's trying to, I don't know, scare them off of their ranch. So he has his kids sneaking around in the horse stables.
It was insinuated that they came in for a little payback prank because Emerald is the one who actually steals a horse statue from the theme park. And then Jupe comes up and says, "Oh, I see you got a little horse statue." They're like, "Where'd you get yours?" And then so she's playing it coy because she obviously just jacked this from Jupiter's Claim theme park. And it's got a bunch of string flags on it that are going to play a key part later. But yeah, I think his kids come back as just like a payback, like revenge prank. We get a lot of like classic horror movie tricks and imagery in this. We get a shot with blood dripping down windows. And then this is one of my favorites. I love when they do this in horror movies, when we're looking at a shot and something looks normal. And then all of a sudden a body moves and it was camouflaged within the shot the entire time. Love when people do that. But yeah, one of the kids does that. And we're like, and I did one of those, like, lean in, like, what am I looking at? And then so we're getting a little bit of a gotcha from the Peele man because we think it's tiny little aliens and we're thinking there's no way they're revealing these things this early. And they kind of looked like tiny little monkeys, honestly. I think they're in monkey suits.
Little Gordys.
Yeah, but the head is like kind of this nondescript white, just two beady eyes, very simplistic.
Generic alien.
Yeah, so they're not revealing their tricks just yet.
But Peele does this great thing where you go, oh, jump scare, okay, let my guard down. And then chaos is about to break out. We have one camera on the property that a praying mantis is going to jump onto. It's going to freak out Emerald. She now can't see out into the field. She can't see OJ. all hell starts breaking loose. We don't know what this adversary we have is capable of. It was a very good job by Peele to say, oh yeah, jump scare, ha ha ha. You can let your guard down, audience. We're way too early in the movie for bad things to be happening. Oh wait, bad things are happening. Very roller coaster, like quick high, like, oh, okay, we're coming back down, and then you're just shooting back up.
Yeah, and we do have these cameras all along the property because we are introduced to our third player in the trio, which is going to be Angel. He's a Fry's electronics worker. Nick, I loved this little location inclusion of the Burbank Fry's electronics store. I recognized it right away. I've been to that Fry's. If you're familiar with the now discontinued Fry's electronics franchise, a lot of the stores had themes to them. I think our local one, the Palo Alto one, was Western.
Cabin. Yeah, it was a cabin. Yeah.
I think it was Western, which is related to this movie.
A lot of exposed wood.
I thought all Fry's electronics were Western themed, but no, they all have their own thing. Because when I lived in LA, I was like, oh, this one's like retro sci-fi 50s themed.
Your best buys are always at Fry's. Guaranteed.
Yeah. I love when they include like a major franchise in a movie, like how Baskin Robbins was a major part of, not major, but it was like a significant bit in Ant-Man. This one, just like, Fry's Electronics is a major player in this movie because Angel is a worker there. They meet him and he installs all the cameras on their properties and then kind of figures out what they're doing. He thinks they're looking for UFOs because he wants all these security cameras to point upwards, and he's looking at them all funny. Like, why would you do, like, you guys didn't get robbed. You're trying to look for aliens. And I like this little inclusion of this. He says, do you know they don't even call them UFOs anymore? They call them UAPs. What the hell is that? They're trying to distract us and all that. The UAP was coined, I think, that year, like 2021, when they were filming it probably. So that was like brand new. And also it is a big foreshadow to what the entity actually is, because it's not an unidentified flying object. It is an unidentified aerial phenomenon, because it's not a thing. It isn't it. It's a living, breathing thing that we learn later.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's funny that the government came out and coined UAPs right in time for this movie. That was lucky timing. But yeah, no, this Fry's Electronics is space themed, and there's a fake UFO that crashes into the front of the store as a decoration. So I thought, of course they would pick that location. That's a nice little touch.
I was wondering, is Fry's defunct now, and so do you need the rights to the Fry's logo and naming, or do you think you just get away with that?
I was thinking that too. No, you definitely have to like reach out to somebody, because
do you think they still kept up the patent and copy, or not the patent? Do you think they kept up the copyright on that?
That's a great question. I wish we knew the answer to that.
Can we go buy the Fry's copyrights?
Did they have to get a partnership with Fry's Electronics, or maybe they got the people who previously owned it? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but
great question. Well, James, our friend Angel, so he installs it all. OJ and Emerald tell him, okay, you can go now. Thank you. He's so into this that he's going to be locking into their cameras from off site. And he notices there's a cloud that hasn't moved in days. And Angel's been monitoring this. He shows it to OJ and Emerald and says, right there. And everybody is like, whoa, that's a UFO. And that's where OJ says, maybe it's not a thing. Maybe it is the cloud. It's not a twist, but that's a fun take on it. Like, it's not a UFO with little aliens inside. There's this monster in the sky. So now we have this new thing in the back of our mind. And I think something good in horror movies is when we don't know what the reveal is going to be. Like, what does a monster in the sky look like? We know an alien. An alien's not going to scare us too much. We have a bunch of different ideas of what an alien might look like. We have ideas of what demons might look like in horror films. So but now we're saying, what the hell is it? What does it even look like? I don't know what a cloud-looking entity is. Wait, what are we doing? So it's a great little twist on it.
And we've seen the UAP in this movie be flying around very subtly. And I love even before it kind of switched from that Close Encounters of the Third Kind to a Jaws movie. You still had Jaws DNA in the movie because it would be slowly or quickly a shadow silhouette behind the clouds up above. I love that shit. I love like, just like, oh, where's the monster? Where's the monster? I love those shots. And then when they said, oh, it's like this cloud hasn't moved. So we're like, oh, what is this? Rise of Silver Surfer? Galactus is a cloud. The entity is not a cloud, but I thought, does it know how to cloak itself?
It's the Holstad.
Does it know how to cloak itself with clouds, or can it like mimic surrounding atmospheres, or is it generating its own cloud? So yeah, no, it lives in this cloud that doesn't move. But then, like you said, oh, what's it going to look like? When is it going to reveal itself? And kind of like going back to Signs, we don't necessarily see the aliens until the very end. And then so in this movie, we get pretty clear images of the quote unquote flying saucer pretty early in the movie. So you're thinking, oh, like they're showing it. So I guess we're going to see the aliens next. I like that we don't kind of drag our feet on that, because I've said this before about horror movies. I think it's very easy to come up with a first act, interesting hook, interesting thing to get the audience into it. But then that payoff needs to be a crazy, successful, good payoff. And then by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, that's what they look like, or that's how that's unfolding. This one kind of slowly eases you into all the reveals. First, it's something weird's happening. We think it's a UFO, and we're just coming out. It's not like, no way, it can't be aliens. No, are you serious? Everyone's like, yeah, hell yeah. Let's capture a photo of a UFO. We accept it's a UFO, and then we accept it's a flying saucer. We see the flying saucer, and then we evolve into that next step of the reveals, which is this is not a flying saucer ship. This is a living entity.
Not to beat the point to death, but I think something I really love, and I'm just realizing it now in a horror movie, is when I have the same information that the characters do. We're figuring this out together. We both don't know. We've both decided that it is not a UFO. It's an entity. It's not like, oh, I know that, but OJ doesn't know that. It's like, no, we are all gathering information at the same time so I can react with the characters in real time. Not, look out, OJ, it's this thing and I know what it is and you don't know what it is. I hate that in a movie. I honestly do. It's like, oh, I have more information than the main character.
Yes, the only leg up we had is we knew it was a extraterrestrial or an alien or a UFO because of the trailers and commercials. And then so as soon as the stuff is falling from the sky and I'm hearing screams of people, I instantly know it's someone got abducted and their shit just fell out of their pockets or something like that. But yes, like we get that head start. But then what I like about it is that we accept that for the main character is about 20, 30 minutes in. And then now we're all on the same page. And now we can unfold this journey together and explore that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, next act, we are getting right into what's actually happening. No, Jordan Peele says, chapter switch. So we get another chapter card. So our horse Ghost, did he die? He died.
Oh, yeah. No, hell it died.
Ghost is super dead.
Then the horse gets like swept up in like a tornado looking thing. That's how this UAP yeets things up and then eats it. The yeet and eat.
The old yeet and eat. And Jordan Peele specifically said, he's like, I know Twister movies always have cows going up. He goes, but horses evoke so much more emotion because of how majestic they are.
You feel bad.
You really do.
I mean, you should feel bad for the cows, but horses are special, man. They're so impressive.
Horses are special. I don't eat horse. I'll eat a cow. But anyway, we get our card switch and we're completely going in the other tonal direction. And this chapter card is Gordy, who we know as the psychotic chimpanzee from the opening of our film.
More like gory, because this shit is gory. This is bloody. Not body horror, but it kind of feeds that freaky mutilation, bloody beatdown hole of horror movies.
And it's tense. It's tense.
Yeah. And a lot of it comes from the perspective of Lil Jupe. This is the young Stephen Young, the young Stephen Young, In a flashback, he's hiding underneath a table. A lot of his co-stars have been beaten. The dumbass actor dad comes out from wherever he was, whatever safe space he found. He decides to come out onto the set and say, okay, Gordy, just calm down, all right? And then he gets his fucking ass beat. I'm like, why would you come out? Like,
gets his face smashed in.
No, Gordy, no! Get down, you sick!
This is like an active shooter situation. Hide. Don't come out and say, let's talk, Gordy. No.
Don't talk to a monkey.
It's very freaky. This movie, like a lot of good horror movies and mystery movies, would really benefit from a second, third watch, because if you were to watch this movie on a second watch, you would think, oh, Jupe is not getting his ass beat because he's not making direct eye contact with the chimpanzee. He's focusing on that stand-up shoe. That's his eye line. And then also, Gordy the chimp sees something underneath the table, but it's through this sheer tablecloth. So they're not making direct eye contact. And then they're going to do this little fist bump thing that they're famous for in the show. And the chimp's hand is it's dripping with blood, which is a great horror imagery to have out there. And then Nick, you said it. This was maybe the biggest jump scare of the movie. Gordy gets shot in the side of the head by what I would assume is the cops.
The cops have arrived on the scene. Lil Jupe is about halfway into the fist bump. I think he said when they were looking at all his memorabilia, they said it was the first recorded like fist bump explosion. It was what Jupe and Gordy did on set
on the show.
Yeah. And so he was doing the little fist bump where I guess Gordy had a moment of humanity there. Or
well, I think it's like
chimpanity,
because he snaps. He snaps randomly because like it's a wild animal, and they're not going to be 100% cooperative and tame the entire time that they're being forced to be on the show or be in a circus or be in a cage or be in a zoo. Like they're going to lash out sometimes. So like these balloons pop, makes them snap. And then later on, like I said, if we were watching this for a second time, we would learn, eye contact with predatory territorial animals is also a device that we're using in this movie. And that's going to be a survival tactic to not look things in the eye. And all the people that were looking at this chimpanzee, AKA Nick, the spectacle that was unfolding in front of them, they can't take their eyes off of it. And it ends up being their downfall. And Jupe survives this insane traumatic event.
He does. And like you said, it is a theme with the animals. I mean, this is why our horse Lucky at the beginning freaked out on the set of the commercial. He said, don't look it in the eye. Don't stand behind it. It's like this respect for nature of don't make any sudden movements, avoid loud noises, or bad things can happen. And so that happened with Lucky, no consequences, just the horse got kicked off. Happened with Gordy, people died. And now we're saying, okay, we're gonna have to apply this to our nope creature as well. So we're picking up little hints here. OJ's starting to again, we're with him a little bit. He's started to figure this out as well, being an animal trainer. That's a very quick chapter. We just get the Gordy massacre. We cut to him in real life with his wife. Boom. We're going to cut to our next chapter, which is Lucky. So like you said, James, Ghost died. Gordy has died. That was his chapter name. And now Lucky the horse. We like Lucky. We actually have a little bit of a relationship with Lucky. He's our guy. He's a horse. He was a horse that Emerald didn't want to sell. Like
he's our guy. He's a horse.
He's the one horse that we've actually had a small relationship with. We know that OJ likes Lucky, the whole thing. Yeah.
I think Ghost is the one that got the key impaled in his ass. Lucky was the one on the commercial shoot set.
And so Jupe, we find out he knows about this alien. So he's trying to, again, chase the spectacle, chase the fame at his Jupiter's Claim amusement park. He's going to put on a show.
Exploit
the hell out of it. Put people in danger to be able to make some money off of it. And he tells us for the last 6 months, every Friday at 6:13 p.m., he has watched this creature, this UFO, this alien. He calls them the Watchers.
The viewers.
He's watched them come over into this canyon and quote unquote feed
on a horse. A couple things here. Jupe in this scene, on his suit jacket on the back in rhinestones, there was a UFO design. What would have been insane is if this was a jean jacket. That would have been insane. But it was a regular suit jacket, I believe. It was a red suit. Jupe is making a spectacle out of this phenomenon, and he's exploiting this thing that he knows nothing about. Jupe is a character who thinks he's a little special. He's a little delusional because, he's the only one who survived the Gordy attack. So it seems like he thinks that he has a way with wild animals and they can be tamed and they can be exploited and trained, because he thinks, I've been feeding this thing every week for the last 6 months. And if it didn't trust me, none of us would be here right now. Ha ha ha, addressing the audience of 40 people. He says 6 months ago on a Friday at 6:13 p.m., the Gordy massacre lasted for 6 minutes and 13 seconds. So that's another little Easter egg, parallel numbers game going on. Another thing that people noticed was that green squares were big in this movie. The gift box that had all the balloons in it looked like a giant green square. Jupe's invitation to his show was on a green square flyer. The mouth of the entity later is going to be on a green square. Lucky was standing in front of a green screen, which was a green square. And I was like, oh my God, like what is the color green mean?
Jordan.
Does it represent money?
Mr. Peele, what are you throwing at me?
And then speaking of peel, when you want to eat an orange, you peel it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And I thought, is orange also a big theme? Because in the finale, OJ, who is named OJ, like orange juice, is going to put on a bright orange hoodie. And then the credits, the background is just orange. So I thought, is orange the opposite of green? But Google kept telling me that red was the opposite of green, just on the color spectrum and the way you mix colors. Like orange is a mixture of red and yellow, and then green is a mixture of yellow and blue. So I thought, okay, I guess. So I didn't know if like there was some sort of like color theory going on here. But when you do these mystery horror movies, people are paying attention to all of that stuff. I love that because like we can watch this movie later on and pick up more stuff. And I think this is one of those movies where the more I sit on it, the more I'm going to like it.
Watch it how you want to watch it.
Or overthink it like we do.
Why not? Well, James, shockingly, Jupe's little show goes horribly awry. He cannot tame this animal. It is a wild animal, and it's going to come over the crowd and suck everybody up. They're screaming. It's similar to the screams we hear overhead when all of this happens in the opening shots. And so it's calling us back to our opening scene where this is how, if you didn't pick it up yet, I like when a filmmaker does this, where he's like, okay, you could have picked up all the breadcrumbs, and if not, I'll finally give you a payoff if you really didn't notice it up until this point.
Give your confirmation.
Yeah, it's going to start raining blood, and this is our confirmation. It is actually a being that is devouring and eating and spitting out the blood, spitting out all the debris that it has sucked up. No, it's not some UFO. It is something that is feeding.
And it kind of has a little bit of a intimidation move, because during the scene when it is spitting out all of the non-digestible stuff, it's purposely doing it over the Haywood home and kind of taunting the folks inside. In this scene, it's at night, it's raining. We get, again, some great horror movie imagery. This is where, when it's compressing all the stuff out of its intestines, that's when the blood is raining down on the house. We get blood down the windows. Later on in the daytime, you get some fun Easter eggs of stuff that was at the Jupe show that is now lodged into the roof. There's like the icy machine. There's, I think, what's her face? The co-star that got attacked by the chimpanzee. Her scooter is on the house as well. I remember her from the trailers. I remember she had a freaky ass face, and I was like, what the hell? Like, what was that about? And then it was from a chimpanzee attack. But yeah, I think this is probably my favorite scene in the movie, because it kind of shows the monster as a little bit of a menace, a little bit of a playing with its food. And then this is where OJ learns, don't look at it in the eye. So he understands.
It's a territorial animal.
Yeah.
And he believes that the ranch is his territory. So he's sort of marking it.
So this is when we get the next reveal of, it's not a UFO. It is a living, breathing thing that is territorial.
And this is where OJ really flips his switch. And I thought this was a little Captain Ahab of him, where this is becoming his white whale, where now everybody's saying, we just need to get out of here. Like, we're in over our head. Emerald's saying, where are we going to go? Like, we need to stop this. Angel's starting to say, I'm out, guys. This is more than I bargained for. And OJ is the one saying, no, I'll go lure it out. I don't care. We need to make something of this. I need to do something. I need to be like my dad. I need to be brave and bold and make a name for myself, which he's been very understated all movie. And so this is that tonal switch that Jordan Peele is flipping, I think, where he says, hey, I still got you for 45, 50 more minutes here. I've revealed the monster to you. Now we're going to get into something else. That suspense is over. You've seen what it looks like. I can't scare you with it anymore. Here it is. And now here's the new OJ, and we're in a different movie now.
Which I love. We're not jerking the chain of the audience saying like, oh, like, I'm going to show you. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to show you. And then we get the reveal at the very end. No, there's layers to this, and it's always evolving.
Yes.
Big Captain Ahab, and then Jaws, like I said, is subconsciously coming through our minds. And we are going to bring in Antlers Holst, who is that cinematographer from the commercial. Earlier in the movie, Emerald called Antlers to see if he can capture something impossible, get the impossible shot. And he says, you can't get the impossible shot. It's impossible. Oh my God. The comedy is, yeah, that's great. Kiki's great. Kiki is hilarious in this movie as well. And there's a lot of little just funny bits and one-liners in this movie. But Antlers is editing footage of animals hunting each other, kind of like almost like a Planet Earth
crabs
style stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of animal eyes that are in those edits as well. And he's editing film. And Nick, the thing that bothered me about society in this movie is when they said, oh, let's see if we can get the Oprah shot. And the sad thing is, like, the first thing I thought about was, well, AI just throws that off so much, because like you could just fake anything these days and it could look very convincing. This was a year or two before AI became an issue. It's sad that I have to think that way. I'm like, well, you can do AI, and then
no one would believe you anyway.
Yeah.
Might be a good nope too. Noper.
Yep. But then I liked when Antlers Holst comes in, because he's like an old school, super Hollywood weirdo creative guy, and he brings in a film camera. And then I thought, oh, if you showed someone a film negative, there's no denying that. They didn't bring that up in the movie of like, oh, like it's not going to be a doctored image and it's going to be on film, so it's legit. But I felt comfort that there was an analog way to capture something, and we're not just lost in AI hell these days. But man, Antlers Holst is a hell of a character. So Captain Ahab for OJ, a little bit of Quint from Jaws for Antlers. Almost Antlers could also be Captain Ahab too, because he starts out as like I'm good, I don't want anything to be a part of this. And then he becomes obsessed by the end. So he comes in and is going to help capture the footage of this elusive entity flying around the sky. The entity in the sky kind of becomes his white whale, and he wants to now capture it with the impossible shot.
Yeah, and you could tell he's sort of sick of filming commercials and whatnot. He wants to be a real filmmaker. Again, everyone chasing their own success in a bit. You know, OJ and Emerald trying to make some money. Jupe was trying to make his money off of this spectacle. And now, in a way, Antlers is also trying to make money and get his career back almost off of the spectacle. So everybody, like the aliens,
I think he was trying to get his career back. I think he was literally like, this is what excited him.
He's defining himself by chasing this spectacle. Essentially, this again, in the words of Jordan Peele, this spectacle has become the main focus. So our goal isn't to, it's really weird. Our goal isn't to just beat the alien or capture it. It's literally just to get it on camera. Like we're going to extreme lengths just to get it on film.
It's to exploit the situation for your own well-being, your own advancement financially, fame. One last thing I want to bring up before we move on to our final chapter here is when we go to save Lucky. Lucky's the only one that survives the Jupe show incident, the feeding out there in Jupiter's claim. When OJ goes to get Lucky, he's walking through the old West town, and there's a pig on the roof. And you're like, why is my brother the pig on a roof? Nick, fun little detail here. Pigs cannot directly look up towards the sky, so they cannot make eye contact with the entity. I thought, wow, what a cool attention to detail there. Horses? Yeah. Dogs? Yeah.
Jordan Peele was flexing a little bit.
I love that. I didn't pick that up, but then someone pointed that out later. Like, what's up with the pig on the roof? Like, well, actually, due to their anatomies, they can't go like this. I'm assuming it got yeeted up to the roof because of the tornado phenomenon.
Most definitely yeeted. So the last thing that happens in this chapter, one of the last things that happens in this chapter, is OJ is going to say they don't know what to call this alien monster thing, but he is going to say, hey, we're going to call it a different name. And that name is Jean Jacket, which is the name of one of his father's favorite horses. And then we get a title card for the last chapter, Jean Jacket, which is our alien.
Jean Jacket was a horse that Emerald was supposed to tame, but then the dad at the last second basically said, never mind, I don't have time for that. I just got a new job. And that job is to work on the movie The Scorpion King with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And then I think later in the movie they said, they didn't even end up going with our horses. They ended up going with camels. So Pops is kind of part of that chasing the fame, chasing the paper, but is getting shut out and is kind of getting dismissed and discarded, kind of like that black jockey from the beginning of the movie. And Emerald says that in the beginning, says, did you know the very first motion picture ever was a black jockey on a horse? That was our great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. And he was also discarded to history, and nobody knew his name. And they, in a fictional way, they tie the Haywood legacy to that real life person. So much theme, so much parallel, so much just breadcrumbs, foreshadowing. This is great.
Let's get into that final chapter, which is titled, like I said, Jean Jacket. And we're coming up with a plan. We're going to lure out our entity, Jean Jacket, for a final showdown using some decoys. Decoy of choice being wacky inflatable arm flailing tube men.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
You know what's funny? My wife was like, when I said, we're watching Nope, and she said, is that the flailing wacky inflatable tube man, the wacky? I was like, what? She's like, it's from Family Guy. I was like, I understand the reference, but what do you mean? Is that the movie with the wacky inflatable flailing tube men? And then she's like, it's the movie with those things. And I thought, I guess I remember them from the trailer, but it's so weird that stuck with you in your memory. And then they end up being a huge part of this final showdown. I thought they were going to be bait, but they're signals for where Jean Jacket is, because Jean Jacket has some sort of electromagnetic field that shuts down electronics. So that's why we can't capture it on digital cameras. So when Antlers Holst comes in with a film camera that's all mechanical, not electric, then we can finally get our Oprah shot.
Yeah. So OJ here, he's going to go out and offer himself up as tribute on his horse, on Lucky, who continues to be lucky because it's still alive.
So lucky.
This might be my favorite part of the movie. Jordan Peele, great job. When the alien does finally come, there's a TMZ cameraman. It just kind of, I didn't really care for whatever was happening with that. It looked like Daft Punk with the metallic helmet. I'm like,
yeah.
Although I think when he had the mirror and he looked up at the thing, because his helmet was metallic, and so it was reflective, and it was very similar. Lucky looks into the mirror in that commercial scene and freaks out. So I think Jean Jacket, the alien, looks down.
So you can see the reflection of Jean Jacket up in the and Jean Jacket, like from the ground view, does look like a giant eyeball, kind of, because it's a big circular saucer looking thing, and then it has this darker hole, which is its eye, but also its mouth is up there. So it is like a giant floating freaky ass 2-dimensional eye that's like kind of like, oh, you gotta look up at me? You gotta look up at me? So the TMZ guy, the way he dies is hilarious, because Angel's like, what happens when an electronic bike going 60 miles an hour hits a electromagnetic field that kills all electricity? And then it's like tense music, and then the music cuts, and then the guy trips off his bike, and you just hear it. and then the TMZ guy is like, oh, grab my camera, film this. And OJ's like, no, like, I gotta save your life. So it's kind of like, yes, the spectacle, the exploitation is the downfall of a lot of these guys. And we saw that with Jupe. We see it with this TMZ guy. And we're going to see it here soon with Antlers as well.
This is my favorite tone switch. So here comes Jean Jacket, the alien. OJ's right underneath him, and he's going to start running on the horse. And this almost feels like a scene out of like North by Northwest. If it's a chase scene, the music switches from tense to almost heroic Western music.
Big time Western music.
As he's riding away. Oh, it was such a great tone switch where he goes, oh, no, now you're watching like an adventure Western with a black cowboy. This is now Buck and the Preacher that we have seen movie posters for throughout the movie. And so, again, Jordan Peele flexing his muscle a little bit, saying, I am a good filmmaker. I can make a blockbuster and put motifs and Easter eggs and everything else that you want in this movie. In the meantime, Antlers is trying to get himself the shot from up on a mountain with his 35 millimeter handheld camera doing his thing. And he doesn't get the shot, apparently because of the light. And he knows this without even looking at the film. He goes, the light. Sort of sounded like Captain Fourleaf from Tropic Thunder.
Dude, I thought that too. Well, I thought he had big Captain Fourleaf vibes because he just kind of has he has that crazed look in his eye of like he's a little unhinged. We see him pop pills. I didn't know what he was talking about with the light because he clearly got the shot when OJ's running away and he has these little reflectors on the back of his hoodie hood to make it look like eyes to get the alien to chase him as bait. And then he releases a string flag to scare off Jean Jacket because it remembers that statue with the string flags and it got stuck in his esophagus or whatever his anatomy is. And he didn't like that. So then he sees these string flags again and says, nope.
He nopes.
Goes on his side. And then we're getting the money shot. We're getting the impossible shot. Antlers is rolling. Angels is yelling, going crazy. Everyone's like, yes, we got it. And then this is where Antlers goes rogue, he snaps, goes a little mental. And this is what he says. He says, yes, he does say the light, it's going to be magic soon. That's what he says. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the images.
Oh,
he just said,
it's golden hour, baby.
He just said like, I don't know what's going on. He popped pills. He's on drugs. I think he's literally insane. Angel says, hey, where are you going? And then Antlers says, it's going to be all right, Angel. We don't deserve the impossible. And then Angel radios into the homies and says, Antlers just said some creepy cryptic shit and is going up the mountain by himself and he's bringing the camera with him. So we're like, oh no, we're going to lose the impossible shot. So then he starts filming from the mountain and he's making eye contact with Jean Jacket and Jean Jacket's going to suck him up and kill him and eat him up. And Nick, I love this because earlier in the movie when we called Antlers, he says a lot of weird shit, but this one really foreshadowed how he went out because he says to Emerald earlier in the movie, this dream you're chasing, the one where you end up at the top of the mountain, all eyes on you, it's the dream you never wake up from. Big foreshadowing of how he goes out. He's on top of the mountain. All eyes are on him. Jean Jacket with his big ass eye is coming up, looking at him. It's a dreamlike sequence for him because he's like, this is my moment. This is what I was born to be here for on this earth. And he never wakes up because he's super dead.
He's dead. The camera, the film reel, also eaten on up. And now it's full on chaos because we don't know what to do. Jean Jacket's pretty pissed. And this is where OJ, again, we sort of stopped the horror because nobody's scared of this thing anymore. Like there's no fear associated with Jean Jacket. It's just getting this shot, surviving the moment, but there's no more reveal to happen except, oh wait, it's not a giant alien eyeball thing. It comes out to this majestic, I said almost like mythical Pokemon.
I immediately thought jellyfish, and lo and behold, going behind the scenes, inspired by the look of a jellyfish.
Yeah, kind of Man-O-War jellyfish deal going on. And it opens up, like you said, that green square mouth.
Which also looks and sounds like a camera shutter. It's like...
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? All right. We're cooking out
Mr.
here.
Peele, you're
out
in your bag right now.
We got
again,
so much connectivity with imagery and callbacks.
Yeah. OJ is not scared. I wrote down he goes from nope to yep.
Yep.
He says, I'm going to take this on. Emerald, you get out of here. It's me and this alien, and I'm going to have a showdown. Me on my horse, Lucky. Buck and the Preacher, Black Cowboy.
Yeah.
Being like his great-grandfather, right, who was forgotten.
OJ is our cowboy hero.
And we almost get a Western standoff type vibe in the background for the music. It's fantastic. And Emerald she is not in survival mode yet. Everyone is still in the chasing the white whale moment of, I'm still going to capture this. Emerald's going to go back to Jupiter's Claim, Jupe's amusement park. And she remembers there's this camera at the bottom of a well that people look down, and then the camera points up and it takes a picture, prints it out on a big old Polaroid. It was this random little moment earlier in the movie. Welcome to the payoff, pal.
In the background of Jupe's office, you see a poster that says Kid Sheriff, and there's 3 kids looking down a well. And it's supposed to be like, oh, that's the poster for the movie. That's what that well photo thing was. Well, it kind of looked like the movie poster for Holes. Mm-hmm. But yes, they make a point to highlight that well camera thing. And then we see it on the poster, and then we're back at it. We're like, oh, this is how we're going to get the impossible shot. Because again, it's mechanical. It's not electronic. Before we get into our final battle, as a cinephile, I have to point out the Akira shot. Because as soon as she slides on the motorcycle, I instantly thought of Akira upon looking it up. Jordan Peele, big fan of Akira. And they asked him to direct the live action iteration of the famous 80s animated feature. But he's like, I don't want to fuck up a classic. But that motorcycle slide shot has been used so many times after Akira came out. And that is on our list of movies I want to watch. Not sure if you've ever seen it. I've seen it once in film school, but I think we should definitely watch that. Just had to point that out. The Akira motorcycle slide is a classic.
I've never seen it. Super down to watch it.
Let's do it.
So Emerald's going to lure Jean Jacket through the sky to get over this well camera. And she releases this inflatable cowboy.
Giant Jupe.
And the cowboy's going to float up into the sky. Again, our cowboy imagery. We get this sort of final shot in the sky. Cowboy against alien.
Cowboys versus aliens.
Daniel
Craig.
And it's going to attack it. And while it's attacking it, gets the impossible shot. The cowboy kind of blows up in Jean Jacket's mouth. And I don't know what happens to Jean Jacket. I got to be honest with you.
It ate a giant Jupe and then exploded. It was too much for it.
So did it die?
That's what they're insinuating.
So I don't really think you need a picture. Like it's going to be there. There's going to be a body anyway.
Or it might not. It might all be separated, or it might dissolve. We don't know the anatomy of this.
We don't know nothing. But our final shot is we're going to have Emerald look towards the opening of Jupiter's Claim, this amusement park. The dust is going to settle, and we end on a final shot of OJ on top of Lucky, our black cowboy who saved the day. Credits.
And Nick, when we hit credits, as always, we have the funniest names in the credits. Nick, the funniest names in the credits I found were Buddy Joe Hooker, Kat Farquharson, and of course, I'm going to shout out our boy Hoyt van Hoytema.
Hoyt.
I actually saw a literal friend of me, someone I worked with on the show called Life in Pieces. Samantha Englander was the art director on this movie. And I thought, oh, I worked with her one time. That's cool. Way to go.
Awesome.
This is a movie that's going to benefit off multiple watches, and it's not going to be the last time I see it.
I watched it twice before this pod, and I'm sure if I watched it 3 times, I'd catch even more.
All right, Nick, that was the movie Nope, and we're going to go ahead and say yep to that one. And it is now time to hit the awards section. Around this time of year, the awards are known as our tricks and treats. That is where we decide the best of the best, the worst of the worst. We have best weapon, best fighter, MVC, and biggest piece of shit. Nick, I'm reviewing this movie first, so I want to see your nominees for the awards first. I'm going to count you down from 3, 2, 1. Show me and tell me.
Well, James, I said best weapon, falling nickel. Best fighter, I have Gordy. Not a lot of, questions there. MVC, OJ. Loved him. And our biggest piece of shit, the commercial guy who spooked Lucky, who wasn't listening to OJ's advice to not spook the horse.
Okay.
James, I'm going to see your nominees for this movie on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Nick, my awards go. The best weapon was the giant Jupe inflatable. The best fighter, I had to go with Jean Jacket, but I do have Gordy as a wild card. My MVC, my God, there's a lot of great characters in this. Any one of them could have taken it. OJ, Emerald, Angel, Antlers. But I went with Ricky Jupe Park. I think he was just integral to the story, tied the movie together with that cold open and the parallel story of the Gordy tragedy. And Nick, I'm going to end this award off with the biggest piece of shit, the TMZ guy. Way to just insert yourself into a situation that you have nothing to do with. Paparazzi got no love in my heart. Nick, let's talk. Best weapon, you're saying nickel. I went with Giant Jupe Inflatable because it took down what I would consider would be the most deadliest entity in this movie. Hesitant to give Jean Jacket the best fighter nod as well, because you can say, is he just acting on self-defense? Is he just being territorial? Is he just feeding? Or is he literally out for blood?
Yeah, best weapon. I'm in for the Jupe Inflatable. I just liked Falling Nickel.
Falling Nickel could be pretty deadly.
It's devastating. Best fighter-wise, I went ahead and said...
I originally had Gordy too, but then I thought, I don't know, Jean Jacket is a literal living, breathing thing. And I thought he was acting defensively, but he does kind of go intimidation.
No, he's a dick.
He's a dick, right?
A dick.
So
I went, he's picking on things that are weaker than him. Gordy, I guess it's a fair enough fight, man versus chimp. And he banged. Like he stepped up. He showed out for the tribe there. So that's why I went Gordy, just, mano-y-mano, not getting sucked up.
I'll let you make the final call.
I'm going to go Gordy, and we have Inflatable Jupe for best weapon. MVC, you're right. There's just so many ways it could go. I'm down to flip a bloody nickel to decide this one.
Yeah, I'm down with OJ too, honestly, because I had that thought too. I think it's OJ.
I want to throw this out there. Something that I really like about this movie is the constricted cast of characters where I care about all of them. They all have some impact on the story. There's not just some rando side character who's dragged in to the main story who's like, yeah, if they die, who cares? Like, all of them bring something to the table. And so it's a small cast, but it's an important cast. And I think that's just a really good decision as a writer-director for Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Now, biggest piece of shit, James, I can go TMZ guy. Because the paparazzi, what are you doing? I just went with commercial guy because I don't like people who don't respect animals. And if you just step in front of a horse and you're like, I'm a Hollywood guy, I'm shooting a commercial. Hey, horse, and you freak it out. Get out of here.
I like when they were like, can you tell the horse we're ready? It's like,
yeah, stuff like that.
We're on the horse's time.
When I saw that, I was like, I hate you. I don't like you.
That guy doesn't respect horses, but TMZ guy doesn't respect privacy and property. And what I thought was funny, at the border of their property, it says no trespassers. And I'm pretty sure there was a little image of a motorcycle guy. So I didn't know if they get a lot of motorcycle bandits out there.
Dirt bikers. Or
if it was a funny little jab to his little sister who previously stated in the movie that she rides motorcycles and that she's a little bit estranged and quote unquote abandoned the family business. So I thought, was that like a little cutesy sign or was that a real sign? And then TMZ guy is a trespasser on a motorcycle, and he's our biggest piece of shit.
You know how I know TMZ guy is the biggest piece of shit is because when he did get sucked up and die, I was like, good.
Yeah, he was the only one we didn't feel bad for. All right, so we have best weapon, giant Jupe inflatable, best fighter. We're going Gordy. Sorry, Jean Jacket, you're too overpowered.
Imagine him in the bracket.
Well, I mean, if someone pulled a Death Star, he would be dead.
That's fair.
MVC, we got OJ Haywood, biggest piece of shit. TMZ guy. Okay, Nick, we said yup to all those awards. They are going to be some major players coming up very soon at the end of the year wrap party special. Can't wait for that. Nick, let's wrap up this puppy with The final review, we're going to transition into that with our sarcastic selling points. I said Jaws, told as an alien story.
I love it. I said Black Cowboy versus Alien.
Final review. Fight.
Final review time. Let's see what the other guys are saying, and then we'll get into the funniest review that we found on the internet, and then we'll get into what we thought about this movie. Starting out with the numbers here, Rotten Tomatoes, 83% of the critics like this movie.
Well, James, the people are a little lower, but I can't be mad about it because they came in at a good old-fashioned 69%.
Yeah, and I like this even more because the Metacritic critics are coming in above that at a 77, a 7.7 on the candy corn scale.
It is, and the people, again, lower on this by the same margin they were on Rotten Tomatoes. They're coming in with a 6.3.
Well, Nick, despite the critics being a little bit higher than the audience, across the board, it seemed like everyone said, yup, to this movie. And now for our chimpanzee racket.
We'll name it Jean Jacket. Sitcom applause. Wait, are we watching Jaws? That cloud is a disguise. Don't look at it in the eyes. Brought to you by your best buys are always at Fry's. Guaranteed from IMDb a 6.8.
Always guarantee being on the same page with my
guy
at Fry's.
Guaranteed, my friend.
Guaranteed. What's also guaranteed is Nick is going to come to the table with the funniest review he found on them internets. Nick, hit us with it.
Yeah, our Rotten Tomatoes user, Jer J. It's Jerry without a Y. He gave it 1 star and said, I just want entertainment, not hard stuff. Boo.
Hard stuff?
This is the hard stuff.
Did he watch a porno in a porno theater?
He watched the wrong Nope.
He watched Grope. All right, Nick. That's what the other guys are saying. Now it's time to get into what we think about this movie. I'm reviewing this movie first. I'm going to give you my laughable log line, my candy corn points, and my final thoughts on this movie. Nick, my laughable logline is a trio of characters vow to capture the UFO money shot with Fry's Electronics. But what they don't see coming is a man-eating flying jellyfish. Nick, I pre-popped this at an 8.5. I feel comfortable just sticking right there. I'm right there at an 8.5. This movie was unique. It had a unique tone, unique voice. It had switch ups in genre. It had great acting. It had impeccable cinematography. The coloring was great. The sound design was great. Not a lot of stuff I can get mad at. A little bit unconventional and experimental with how it unfolded, but I think that's part of the charm because it's not a disappointing horror movie by the end of it of, oh, that's what they look like, or, oh, that's how it ended. It just kept evolving into something of its own path, and I can respect that. Jordan Peele, like I said, I will never not be a fan of. Always thought he was hilarious, and I think he's a great filmmaker. I think he is very collaborative with his actors, his fellow crewmates, his fellow creatives, and I enjoyed this movie. Right from the rip, I knew I was going to like it, and by the end of it, it's going to leave me thinking, and I'm going to pick up more things as I watch this movie. For Nope, Captain Pop says yep.
Well, James, my turn. My laughable logline is, a black cowboy must take his rightful place as the hero of our story and get a picture of an alien. James, I pre-popped this at an 8. You said 8.5. I'm going higher than that. I'm going higher than the critics go here. This is an 8.7 for me. Absolutely massive fan of this movie for all the reasons we talked about during the plot talk. This is my first Jordan Peele directed movie I've watched. Love the flavor behind it. It was so much fun. It never got stale. 20 minutes in, I'm thinking to myself, I got another Signs. Like, I was ready to not like this. I was ready for the slow burn of 2 hours. And I was like, I'll see the alien in the last 15 minutes or whatever I'm supposed to see in the last 15 minutes. And no, they give it to you up front. You're with the characters throughout the whole movie. Another thing about having a small cast of characters, you're with them. You're in this intimate group. that is figuring this out as the movie goes along. It's so much fun to be a part of that, right? I'm in the movie with them, figuring things out. The chapter breakups that they did to tell this story and change up the pacing, fantastic. And then the tone switches, right? Like, I have never had as much fun as I'm like, what's happening? Suspense. Oh my gosh, this alien. And then in the last 20 to 30 minutes, I'm like galloping on my couch watching this, like with OJ, like, yeah, outrun the alien. And it's a blast. Like, so, is it a horror? I don't know. Is it a thriller? I don't know. Is it a Western? I don't know. It's a good movie. In the words of Jordan Peele, watch it how you want to watch it. The stuff you brought up about the cinematography and everything else that they did and tried and were ambitious about, just it adds to it all. And I give a lot of downvotes to movies for things like not letting a director do what they want to do, not letting creatives cook, right? Like giving me random information halfway through a movie that I would have not known otherwise. This movie does none of the things that violate my movie watching criteria. So through and through, fantastic. 8.7, highly recommend. Haven't watched it, watch it. If you haven't seen it in a long time, rewatch it. This will be a staple for me. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful movie. Great job, Jordan Peele.
It ain't just any movie. It's a Jordan Peele joint. And that is Nope, reviewed by the Just Play It podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us. We are on Instagram and YouTube at Just Play It Podcast. We are on X at Just Play It Pod. Thanks everybody for listening. You're going to want to join us next time because, Nick, I had a dream of my old home because I used to live off Oak Avenue, and it was a good dream.
Well, you only want to have good dreams. You don't want things haunting you in there.
Grow up on a tree street, have a good time, and no nightmares, please. We are heading gone, and remember, if you got a UFO, you better be correct in its pronoun and call it a UAP. Thank you very much.
I'm your worst nightmare.
He's our guy. He's a horse.
He's our guy. He's a horse.
Don't look at it in the eyes.
Like surprise.
That rhymes with fries.
That does rhyme with fries.
Don't look it in the eyes. Your best buys are always at fries.
Dang it. Yeah, we have to do that.